Welcome, one and all, console war veterans and civilian noobs, to the 6th episode of the Green vs. Blue podcast.
The console Cold Wars are over!
This week's main topic, PlayStation 5 Showcase Blowout. We are your hosts,
David Brown, SDDawg.
And PlaystationPat Fennel. Green vs. Blue is a podcast where we, your hosts, discuss the two best gaming platforms,
Xbox
and PlayStation. Green vs. Blue can be found on patreon.com/greenvsblue. That's patreon.com/green vs. Blue. Or you can contact the show directly at psboxcast@gmail.com. That is psboxcast@gmail.com. David, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at SDDawg, SDDawg, and at Twitch, Real SDDawg, SDDawg.
All right. You can find me on YouTube at VarietyPat. That is VA Riot Pat, or on Instagram at PlaystationPat. All right, so let's get into the show. So first off, we have our Retroscope segment, which is some corrections and news follow-ups. Not too much going on in that section this week, but following up on last week's rotating segment, which was Age Like Fine Wine. You know, David, I saw Anthem over there at GameStop.
How much was it?
$1.79.
Shoot.
If you're looking to buy some hot games with some change that you picked up on the street, Anthem is for you.
Yep, hot game, hot pile.
All right, so moving on to games this week. David, what do we got?
First, what you been playing, Pat? What you playing?
David, I finally beat Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, and in fact, between Pokemon Let's Go and Pokemon Go over on my mobile, I was able to beat Team Rocket leader Giovanni twice within a single hour.
Is that pretty hard to do?
I guess not. I mean, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee was like a cakewalk. He is kind of pretty hard to beat in Pokemon Go on the mobile. Took me 3 or 4 tries, but I was able to get a sweet Shadow Suicune out of it.
That's pretty dope.
One of the nice legendary dogs.
Cool.
So yeah. And in fact, next week I am going to be back on my PlayStation. Look forward to some sweet video game streams over on YouTube.
Yeah, I haven't been playing anything because we went on a sabbatical to Zion.
Ooh, how was it?
Well, you were with me, so that was pretty fun. We don't have anything to show for video gaming, unfortunately, on a video gaming podcast, but we did do a pretty sweet photo shoot, which will be showing up on our socials pretty soon. Green vs. Blue, your very first face reveal, SDDawg and PlaystationPat coming at you in a bit.
Those are some sweet pics.
But let's get into new games this week. So new Xbox games on Game Pass. Destiny 2 expansions Forsaken Shadowkeep, which will be added on September 22nd, also known as past the time you'll be listening to this podcast. Night in the Woods added also on September 24th, so look out for that. Warhammer Vermintide 2 also added September 24th, so look out for those. We're looking at games leaving Game Pass this at the end of the month, so watch out for Dirt Rally 2.0, Bad North, Dishonored 2, Panzer Dragoon Orta, Westerado, Double Barreled, and Ukulele. All of them are leaving September 30th, so get those in.
I think the best one to look out for is Ukulele. That's a sweet 3D platformer, very much.
Rare made that one, right?
I'm not sure on the publisher. It
looks like Banjo-Kazooie, kind of, right?
It's pretty much a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, and got pretty stellar reviews. So if you're into platformers, 3D platformers in particular, check out Ukulele before the month's up.
Pat, what we got for PlayStation?
So over on PlayStation side, Dave, went through the new games this week on the store. I believe there was 13 new games. I picked out a couple highlights. Really a pile of hot garbage this week. So anyways, first off, we got WWE 2K Battlegrounds.
What is that? What is that game?
So WWE, that's the Worldwide Entertainment Wrestling, whatever you call it. It's fun stuff. The WWE game from last year, 2019, was a complete and utter disaster, and they quickly followed up with announcing this game and sort of pushed this game out pretty fast, but it looks pretty fun. It's very much in the style of that NBA Jam game we had a couple years ago, which is super popular.
Super cartoony.
Yeah, very cartoony, giant heads. And I don't have much affinity for these games, but I remember when I was younger spending many hours in the character creator and laughing my butt off and nearly peeing my pants. So might be fun.
You might have to censor that part out, Pat. It's too much for our audience.
I didn't say I said pee.
I know. We're trying to hit that 9 to 12-year-old demographic. So speaking of Fortnite.
Anyways, following up, we got Spelunky 2. That's a sweet 2D platformer roguelike. I played Spelunky 1, kicked my butt. I'm hesitant to jump back into Spelunky 2, but fun game, and now a fun series. Then we got Gore SD, which looked really very ugly, but was cheap. And the interesting part about Gore SD, that is GORSD.
Yeah, that sounds like an open world game where you just like kill people in like San Diego. That's what I get from that title.
Well, it started out, but it's like a 16-bit platformer sort of. Certainly not open world. The cool part is you can play 4-player couch multiplayer. So if you got 4 people in the same room and you somehow scrounge up 4 controllers, you can check out Gore SD with all your friends. All 3 of your friends. Then we got Active Neurons, which was a puzzle game. I think this was the standout game for this week. The graphics are incredible. Like, very basic graphics, but gorgeous all the same. The music of the trailer is what really drew me in. Hard to compare it. Maybe Tetris Effect like music, and God, Tetris Effect was great. Then lastly, 2 of the 12-13 games that we got were called Praetorian's Remake and Commando 2, both of which are overhead RTS games. I'm pretty sure they are the exact same game, minus some cosmetic changes, medieval versus modern. But yeah, if you're into RTS, check them out, because there ain't much going on until PS5.
Right. All right, Pat, you ready to move on to cross-examination?
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of PS5, so David, what's going on in cross-examination this week?
Yeah. So before we actually get into it, just for any of our new listeners out there, cross-examination is our beefy segment where we talk about big relevant news regarding Xbox and PlayStation. When they intersect with each other in the gaming world, we then debate, speculate, or create a discussion of our own, which I think fosters good discourse. Pat, what do we have for this week's cross-examination segment?
So David, we finally got the PlayStation 5 Showcase event.
We got price.
We got price.
We got release date.
We got We got release date.
Pre-orders it's already sold out.
We'll get back to that.
What else we got?
Let's run through it. So this past week on Thursday, September 17th, PlayStation held their digital event called the PlayStation 5 Showcase. I feel like there was only 3, I'm going to call it 3 significant announcements were made. We'll run through the first 2 first.
Okay.
So we got Final Fantasy XVI was officially revealed. The trailer was way too long. David, you and I watched it together. I think we both, partway through the Final Fantasy XVI trailer, got distracted because it was so long.
Yeah, these games, I've never gotten into one Final Fantasy game, but for any of those hardcore fans out there, I think they just really cater to them.
I was really into Final Fantasy 15. That was a fun playthrough. Final Fantasy 7 was the first real major game that I played during COVID quarantine when that started. So that was a nice escape at the beginning of this whole situation that we're in. It's more Final Fantasy. I don't know what you expect or don't expect. But I think the coolest part about the reveal trailer to me was at the very end. They did say that Final Fantasy XVI is a console exclusive, but they did specifically denote that it is also available on PC.
Nice.
Or will be available on PC. Which in prior generations, when we did see console exclusive, we never saw also available on PC. Thank God that they're finally giving us a little bit more detail.
Yeah, I think Microsoft has really pushed for that marketing, for PC. I think that both of these companies have realized the market on PC. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important that Sony responds to Microsoft in that regard, like putting PC also coming out on PC, trying to make themselves like compete on that same level with them.
Mm-hmm. It makes me wonder a little bit if we will see Microsoft Xbox achievements tied to the PC version of the game. I mean, PlayStation isn't going to say also available on Xbox on their stage, but being available on PC with the way the Xbox ecosystem is going to be tied together, it's conceivable.
Are you talking about achievements?
Mm-hmm.
I think the achievements on PC, I want to say it's a separate, when you unlock an achievement in a game on like Windows 10, I think it's like a separate achievement thing. Like it doesn't, I think it ties to your gamer score, but I don't know. Sometimes like you unlock it and like say you're playing like Halo, right? And you play it on the PC. I think if you unlock it, it's the same. I think they have like an achievement system for the PC.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, we'll have to revisit that if it is in fact complicated in any way. Moving on, PlayStation release date is officially November 12th.
Woohoo!
And the digital version will be $399.99, $400. And the version with the HD Blu-ray drive will be $499.99.
I'm surprised it's like $100. I thought it was going to be, I think I swore on the last episode, not swore because we would have bleeped that out, but swore that the discless console would be $450. I swore that, but I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong.
These prices aren't entirely startling. I think if there was only a $50 difference between the two iterations of the console, it would sort of make the digital-only version kind of obsolete.
Mm-hmm. So now we have the Series S at $300. Mm-hmm. We have the discless PS5 at $400. We have both top-of-the-line consoles, Series X and disc version PS5 at $500.
Yeah.
I think this is well played by both companies. This is probably what I expected.
I agree. I think they both made the best of the situation. The cool part to me is that it comes out only 2 days. The PS5 comes out only 2 days after the Series S and X, which that's a big weekend. And if you're going for both consoles day one,
they're making you choose. They're not like, oh, wait a week. Well, I mean, even a week is not enough time to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy another new console. But if you're looking for like to dip your toe into the Microsoft, you would probably go the Series X route. Say if you have an extra couple $100 to throw around. So them putting it such in close proximity to each other definitely makes you say, which one are you gonna choose? I don't think a lot of people are gonna do both.
Yeah. And in years past, I think the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One release was like 2 weeks apart or so. I think the Xbox One was before the PS4. And Dave, let me tell you, that itch you feel when the Xbox boys and girls are getting to play their next gen console 2 weeks before you.
Papa needs the scratch.
is tempting to go out and be like, look, I'm just gonna throw down some money so I can jump on next gen, even though it's only 2 weeks of missing out or so.
So we'll see how people respond to this. This actually segues really well into our next point here. So speaking of the Series S, what I was saying before, how the Series S might be that nudge for someone who's on the fence to dip their toe into the Microsoft ecosystem. A Sony executive actually responded to the Series S strategy from Microsoft. Jim Ryan, president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, has said, per VideoGamesChronicle.com, quote, "One thing that can be said is that if you look at the history of the game business, creating a special low-priced, reduced spec console is something that has not had great results in the past. We've considered that option and seen other executives who have attempted this discover how problematic it is." End quote. Or Sony was thinking about doing this. Well, I think it will be really interesting to see how it plays out. I don't think has this ever happened in a console release where there's been like a lower end, like right out the gate? I can't think off the top of my head.
Maybe with Xbox with the arcade version.
Maybe,
of
yeah.
the 360.
I'm just super interested to see how.
But
how
even then, the arcade version of the 360 wasn't underpowered. It was
just less space, I think, on the actual hard drive.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is going to be like a really unprecedented thing that's happening, and it's interesting that Sony's coming out now and saying, like, right after or during the pre-order debacle, which we will get to, they needed to kind of slap back at Microsoft a bit, because Microsoft did come out looking pretty good last week with their reveal.
We'll see how. We really don't know how this is going to play out. This is a new generation, a new type of video game generation. As we've been saying, the console wars are kind of over. Between Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, nobody is playing the exact same game anymore. Nintendo has done this sort of handheld, toy-like direction. Sony is very first party. We have these awesome games direction, and you can only play them on PlayStation, maybe on PC, the farther we go into this generation. And Microsoft has taken this lane of play anywhere. This is a unified console system. If the Series S really can perform well, it might do well on the market if the specs aren't nerfed too much.
Yeah, I think this is the one thing that Microsoft has for them in terms of just like directly competing with them right out the gate, because Series X, while it may be a slightly, and I say slightly, better console, just in terms of like hardware capabilities, I mean, they don't, again, we've said this many times, they don't have the games still. So this is the one thing that I think would give them a run for their money until we get those first-party games from Microsoft.
The Series S probably is the biggest wild card of this upcoming generation. As Jim Ryan said, Sony has not found success with this. Historically, there has not been success with a lower-spec console. Last week on episode 5, I brought up the PlayStation TV, which was the Vita, basically, that could connect to the TV, and that was an absolute failure. I think the Series S is different, but kind of the same in that way. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Biggest wild card. I think Microsoft is smart. They've been backed into a corner this entire last generation with the Xbox One. They're like a wild animal ready to get out of a cage right now. So we'll see. If you were hoping to pre-order a PS5, sorry, it might already be too late. All the way back in July, during an interview, representatives from PlayStation very specifically said that PS5 pre-orders would not be a surprise, and then it would be announced ahead of time. After the PS5 showcase, in a tweet, Sony said that they would be up the following day on Friday, the Friday that has already passed. Well, if you're not listening to this show week 1, it is well past now. Though that pre-order plan turned into a complete freaking disaster. Almost immediately after the show, Walmart sent out a tweet, and I quote, "Make you wait to get the new hashtag PlayStation 5, question mark? Nah, that's not like us. Go on and pre-order it now," end quote.
Jesus.
So, yeah, Walmart really jumped the gun. PlayStation had this whole plan, and this pre-order debacle that ended up happening was really perpetrated and precipitated by Walmart's decision to just do their own thing.
Didn't GameStop do this too?
So, yeah. So, Walmart sends out this tweet, puts up their PlayStation 5 pre-orders the night of the showcase, about 12 to 24 hours before they were supposed to, and this created a complete cascade. So I woke up Friday morning, after the day after the showcase, to find out that pre-orders had been sold out almost everywhere. And I did visit a GameStop this past Friday, and as I was in there, in fact, the manager was on the phone with an angry customer. So thanks to Walmart, PlayStation had to go and directly tell retailers to scramble and go live with their pre-orders right away. This manager at the GameStop that I was in basically was telling this person on the phone, sorry, you cannot pre-order anymore. GameStop had a list of people they were going to call who were interested in pre-orders when the pre-orders were up. That list was completely thrown to the wind. The manager, while he was saying sorry, was also saying he was bummed out because he missed out on them as well. Just a complete freaking nightmare.
That's what sucks is that you can't... Everyone's probably like mad at that GameStop employee when he has like absolutely nothing to do with it.
And people are mad at PlayStation.
Well, I think they should be. I think what was probably the best thing to do if Walmart were to come out with it and jump the gun, just single them out and have the blame be entirely on Walmart.
I agree. I think that would have been the best
just say, well,
plan of action.
No one make a move.
PlayStation and Sony could punish Walmart by reducing their numbers of pre-ordered consoles.
Yeah, that's weird. That's just such a weird situation, especially given that they were like verbatim, we will give you enough time to pre-order this, and then it's just like, oh, never mind. That's they just really shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
With that.
So supposedly more pre-orders are going to be available ahead of the November 12th release date, but for the time being, if you missed out, I missed out, you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah, there's no doubt there'll be more. Like, don't worry, but I feel like they're just going to be sold out all year long.
I think the thing to do will be save your money for December 26th, because as soon as the holiday season is over, you will actually be able to find PlayStation 5s. But up until then, during the holiday shopping season, it's going to be impossible. While the hardcore will be going out and trying to get one day one, there's going to be a huge swath of parents or people buying the PS5 for their loved ones for the holidays. Everybody's going to be buying it no matter what.
Yeah. So if you can secure a PS5 for Christmas, you're a real MVP.
You're lucky.
What also thought was pretty funny about the whole debacle was the Xbox's response in a tweet. They said, pre-order September 22nd. Worldwide launch in 36 countries, November 10th. Hype, 9,000 plus.
Over 9,000.
In parentheses. Don't worry. We'll let you know the exact time pre-orders start for you soon. Ooh. So they just did a little backhand to Sony here.
Little stab in the back.
And that reminds me of Xbox, shot themselves in the foot in 2013 with the whole, like, we can't let you trade games. And then Sony was like, this is how you trade games.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned before.
Yeah.
And just handed them a game. So this is kind of reminiscent of that era. I don't think it's such a big deal, but that was just a little funny part that I took out of it.
It was. To capstone this pre-order debacle, per Wario64 over on Twitter, as we've mentioned him before, great Twitter account to be following, great deals, great news and insights. So he tweeted a screenshot of an email that Amazon sent out to pre-order holders, and I'll go ahead and quote this email. Quote, "Hello. We're contacting you about your pre-order of PlayStation 5 console to let you know in advance that you may not receive this item on the day it is released due to high demand. We'll make every effort to get the item to you as soon as possible once released. You can track the latest shipment status of your order under..." End quote. So the email goes on a little bit more. There's some more information, nothing really relevant.
What are they saying, though?
So basically Amazon is saying that, yeah, we took your pre-order, but we're not necessarily going to have an item for you in stock. So yeah, you can hold on to your pre-order, but the console might show up a month later if you're unlucky.
Yeah, man, this this is just stressful for everyone.
It really turned into a complete freaking disaster.
If you're looking for a PlayStation, you might have to be waiting for a little bit.
Good luck. You're going to be treasure hunting. That's it.
Okay. What were the other highlights from the event, Pat?
So, David, we went through the two biggest announcements of the PlayStation 5 Showcase. I still have one more huge announcement to go over, but we will just talk about all the news real fast that we did see. The event was led off with the Final Fantasy XVI trailer, and then was followed by a official gameplay reveal of Spider-Man Miles Morales. They did sort of one of those sweet pump fakes.
Pump action fakes. Yeah.
Juke everybody out with, oh, this looks like another trailer, and then it goes straight into gameplay. I thought it was edited together pretty well. So we did see that the villain of this game, at least one of them, will be the Tinkerer, who's very mechanical, and he leads a group called the Underground. And the Underground is in rivalry with this group, this fictional Marvel company called Roxxon, which messes around with energy and has created various supervillains. Most of the gameplay that we did see was this big bridge moment where there's a bus falling into the Hudson River and Spider-Man's got to save the bus, and then
he's got like two webs out with his he's like, oh, I got to save them both, with like Tobey Maguire type energy going on.
Yeah, I had to say I was a little disappointed though. Seeing the trailer, I was like, oh, we're going to get like Spider-Man saving a bus from falling off a bridge is...
It's been done before.
It's been done before, and I thought that that's what it was going to be. Like, we as the character get to have this moment that we saw Tobey Maguire have, this big, real superhero saving the people moment, and that's not what it was.
But hey, I'm like super excited for this game, dude. If they come out with a limited edition like Miles Morales color schemed like PS5, you might see me dropping my unemployment check on a new. Don't tell my wife. But no, for real, that game looks dope. There's so much they could do with that game. Like if you just think about the movie and like all the characters that are in it, like the film noir, Spider-Man, and like think about all the stuff they could add in this game. Dude, there's so much. It's endless.
Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
It'll be great. I think there's going to be a lot more to come this generation and forward from these Marvel's Spider-Man games. And then next up was probably the biggest news that we found out. I would say almost bigger than the price reveal was Hogwarts Legacy.
Also super excited for this one.
Yeah, this looks really great.
We didn't see any gameplay, or not. I think a frame of it. Maybe.
Correct. We got a trailer, and only about like 5% tops of the trailer was gameplay, which is whatever. It is what it is. But this looks really cool. So Hogwarts Legacy is coming from Avalanche and Portkey Games. Hogwarts Legacy, we don't know much information, but it looks like it's going to be an open world game. It's set in the late 1800s at Hogwarts, and your various Diagon Alley and quintessential Harry Potter locales.
Yeah, I really like the prospect of this game. If they have like a sprawling multiplayer where you can just like rank up your character and like learn new spells, or like, what I'm really excited for is like the prospect of like choosing your own house and like ranking up your character. Maybe rank up like your own faction or something. Like you get clans, I don't know, like
I
there's
think
so much
the
you could
houses of Hogwarts will be the clans.
But no, if they add like a really cool multiplayer to this, I'm hooked. Like
I think that's what the game will be. So WB did in fact confirm that J.K. Rowling is not involved with the game. She built this universe, the Harry Potter universe, but it's like Star Wars. George Lucas doesn't need to be there anymore. J.K. Rowling doesn't really need to be there anymore. I think we'll still have something great.
She's given us enough content to work with.
Yes, and she's surrounded by controversy at the moment, so it's probably for the best.
And she's notorious for like trying to change certain characters like after the fact, after you publish the books, and like change certain ways you view the characters. And it's like, once you publish your work, it's not yours anymore. It's really like everyone else's, and you don't really get to have that anymore.
Yeah,
you've made your billion. I don't know how much she's made, but make
a new character that has the traits that you did want. Why not? Anyways, let's move on. So then we saw Raven Studios. Raven Studios is making Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and there was an alpha test this past weekend to jump in and play. I wouldn't have brought this up necessarily, except for the interesting part was when the representative from Raven Studios came out and spoke. he specifically did not say Call of Duty before he said Black Ops Cold War, which is Black Ops a whole new line that is going to come out? Is the Call of Duty name going to be dropped more or less from this franchise? It reminds me a little bit of Sid Meier's Civilization games. People know what you're talking about when you just say Civilization. I think people already know what you're talking about when you say Black Ops. Is Call of Duty just going to be the byline?
We talked about this a little bit before over the weekend. I don't know. I don't ever see them dropping the Call of Duty name. I do see them using it in like commercials. Maybe they'll have the logo, but they won't say Call of Duty. They'll just say Black Ops, because Black Ops and Modern Warfare have become like these sub-brands that are almost ubiquitous with Call of Duty. You know, it's almost like a household name at this point. Everyone, if you say like, "Oh, I'm gonna play some Black Ops," when I tell my friends, "Let's play some Black Ops 4," they know I'm talking about Call of Duty. When I'm saying Modern Warfare, they know I'm talking about Call of Duty. So I think they have to keep that on there, because Call of Duty is such a even your grandma probably knows what Call of Duty is, you know, or whatever. So I think they have to keep that moniker on there. But I think they're trying to create these. They're trying to build up the brand of Black Ops to the point where it's like, yeah, it's the same as Call of Duty.
To me, the Call of Duty Black Ops the Call of Duty Black Ops section of the PlayStation 5 Showcase, to me and to my knowledge, is the first time that we're going to see this diversion into the Black Ops franchise and the Modern Warfare franchise.
Yeah. Could this mean that they want to do maybe like a sub franchise, where they're like, we're doing like Black Ops : you know, they are doing Black Ops : Cold War, so maybe that's why they're not tacking on Call of Duty, because it's just too wordy, or maybe they're trying to create this whole different line of games down the road where you have your Black Ops umbrella, you have your Modern Warfare umbrella, because those two brands work the best for Call of Duty. Mm-hmm. So I don't see them doing another Advanced Warfare or a Ghosts or these one-off games, because those are the ones that are the least received critically. That's a good point. And I think commercially too.
Oh, certainly.
But yeah, I think that's why they're definitely playing it safe. Can't blame them for that. But I'm interested to see if they're going to just expand on these instead of just keep putting in one iteration after the other.
I think if we do see the name Call of Duty : 2025, whatever the actual title would be, I think we're only going to really see Call of Duty. I think we're only going to see that name structure if it is in fact a new spin-off. And I think we're going to go a couple years now without a new spin-off.
Fair to speculate.
Cool.
All right.
So yeah, that's enough Call of Duty. We'll see you with it next month. So then we got 2 game reveals from Capcom. We got Resident Evil 8 Village. I think this Resident Evil game looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's fairy tales, and so there's werewolves and vampires and...
Yeah, count me in. That's another one, along with Final Fantasy. I have never really jumped into a Resident Evil game. If I were to jump into one, I think it would be probably first the remakes, and then maybe dip my toe into this one, because it looks so different from all the other ones.
Resident Evil 8 might be the one that pulls me in. I don't play scary video games. I just don't. It's not for me. This pretty much wholly unique setting and theme, I think, is right up my alley.
Cool.
So then after that, Capcom also announced Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. And the best part about this is DMC5 Special Edition is going to be available day one digitally for the PS5. Not necessarily the hottest video game ever, not necessarily super popular among consumers. You know, it definitely has its niche, but I think being available day one, this one will be the biggest Devil May Cry game yet. It's just really great to see something available day one, even if it's only digitally. I can understand that the supply of physical products, game discs,
it's a low priority right now, considering the pandemic.
Yeah, and everything is so backed up. It makes sense just to have it available digitally.
Cool. We got some Deathloop, a little bit of Deathloop.
Yeah, so we got a gameplay trailer for Deathloop. Not my favorite. Not my favorite.
I'll have to say, like, when they first announced this game, I was like, oh yeah, this looks like really cool, almost like a spy. Like, the aesthetic to it is almost like James Bond type. And then they showed this gameplay trailer, and I was less interested for whatever reason. And I think it's because, like, yeah, we're kind of confused about what the game is.
So in this trailer, they showed off some couple characters. Last week, I talked about the Ubisoft Forward event. All the Deathloop characters, I really don't care. I don't care. We don't know anything about them. We don't know enough about the game for it to really be, oh, here's their special stats and special powers and stuff.
Yeah, I think what they need to do...
What's that mean if we don't know anything about the game?
Yeah, I think what they need to do is stop telling and just start showing. I think they need to do just an uninterrupted, like, 10-15 minute gameplay. Like, show you all the mechanics, how the game works, what your objectives are. They just need to show that, and I think people will be more interested in it. Instead of just, like, beating around the bush, oh, what is this game? You know, we're throwing all these things at you visually, but people want to know what the game's about.
Seeing all the characters, it reminded me of the padded out part of the Ubisoft Forward event where they went over Watchdog Legions and a bunch of the characters, and it's really like the worst part of these events, if you ask me, where it's just really a lot of filler and we don't know enough. Yeah, and maybe instead of showing us the characters, you could have showed us some more of the gameplay mechanics.
Just raw gameplay, yeah.
Yeah, it still is not clear what exactly this game is. It might be a puzzle game, sort of, where you're doing this time loop thing, and as you solve different parts of the puzzle, you can loop back and do it right. I'm not sure. The most interesting part, hypothetically, will be if you're working against other people to complete these puzzles. That might be the case, and that's what I got out of the trailer, but we still don't know that for sure, and we won't know until...
Yeah.
But of any game that we've seen, I think Deathloop has the most potential.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep my eye on it. I'm not completely dismissed by the gameplay trailer, but we'll see.
So, moving on from Deathloop, we got another trailer for Oddworld Soulstorm. Dave, I know you're all about Oddworld.
I'm a big Oddworld fanboy. I'm just kidding. I've only played like the first one or whatever, and that was on the original Xbox and I think PS2 or it was an enjoyable game. I just forget like everything about it. I know it's like a side-scrolling platformer. You have to like save your little alien buddies or something. I don't know what the game's about, but it looks interesting to me.
My favorite part about the Oddworld trailer was that they had a bunch of words, and my favorite descriptor of all video games is boulder. Not a rock boulder, but like text size boulder. Like, what does that even mean? So yeah, then we got another trailer for the Demon's Souls remake, which is pretty cool.
Oh, I'm super excited about that one. I was telling you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna do a top 3 after this, but yeah, that game looks dope.
Okay, so then after Demon's Souls, oh, of course, you knew it was coming.
Start flossing, everyone.
Fortnite is going to be available for PS5 on launch day. More available than Fortnite is on the iPhone these days, I guess. Oof. So yeah, we saw a trailer for that. For the unknowing, PlayStation did buy a 1.4% stake in Epic Games, the owners of Fortnite. And yeah, so that's why we saw that.
All right. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach was also shown.
Yes. So between Fortnite and Five Nights at Freddy's, all of the kids will be fiending for the new PS5. And then maybe the most underwhelming part of the showcase, at least to me, was as a perk of PlayStation Plus, users will be able to have access to the PlayStation Plus collection, which is really just Sony first-party games in this PlayStation Plus collection. If you've played PS4, if you've played the biggest games on PS4, let's see, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Uncharted 4, will all be available for the PlayStation Plus collection. I don't care. I don't necessarily want to replay any of these games, and
you can replay them if you already own them on the PS5. So
yeah. So just more padding out of the show, and then of course, but wait, one more thing.
The last thing.
So after we saw the price and the release date, we got the one more thing, and that was a God of War Ragnarok logo. God of War got a reboot in 2018. We saw that takes place in Nordic country instead of Greece.
Major commercial and critical success.
Incredible game. Yeah. So it's probably, if we're counting them all up, it's the probably 8th or 9th game in the God of War series that we're getting. That 2018 game, what would you call it? God of War 1 on PS4 is really a hard reboot of the series. This news would be more substantial, except we kind of already knew God of War.
You knew it was coming, right?
We knew it was coming.
There's no way they're not doing a sequel.
Yeah, that would be like not having a Last of Us 2. Except Last of Us 2 was only made really because Naughty Dog felt like they had a good story, but only made it really because they found so much success in The Last of Us 1.
Yeah. I'd say, since they only showed a snippet of a logo, I would assume the game is just starting to be in production. We're probably seeing a year or two from now.
I think I would assume it's probably been going through production already. But if you're really just going to show me a logo, that's completely meaningless.
Yeah, there's nothing to show yet. So they're obviously
We saw a Final Fantasy VII Remake logo in 2010 or 2012, well over 5 years ago. And it took 5+ years for that game to ever show up. Now, I'm not saying that Sony is going to do the exact same thing. I think we will see God of War Ragnarok in 2021, but anybody can throw together a logo in an afternoon if they want.
Yeah, I think they just have to do that because whether or not it's coming out on launch date, you have to keep that in the minds of people who are buying it. Oh, God of War is coming. You just, enter our ecosystem, then you're going to get that game, So, and I think Microsoft's also doing that with Halo Infinite, even though it's being delayed. I see in commercials all the time, snippets from the game, the trailers and stuff. It's well, you guys delayed it and you're still showing it. I think it's kind of weird, but they kind of have to do that just to say, hey, you're going to get this at some point.
David, so since being that you don't have a PS4, what's your impression of the PlayStation 5 Showcase overall, and particularly the PlayStation Plus collection, which doesn't excite me?
Well, for someone like me, if I were to jump into the PS Plus collection, that would be for me.
Yes.
For someone who's just coming in and wants to drop down that extra money, or does it come with?
It comes with PlayStation Plus.
Yes, it comes with PlayStation
Plus. So
it's
really an answer to Microsoft's Games Pass?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, if that's the case, if I'm willing to really just jump into it, then yeah, that's absolutely for me. As far as the showcase went, this is probably the best that Sony has shown so far. This is the most robust presentation, in my opinion. They showed enough gameplay to get me excited about their first-party games. They showed enough to get me excited about third-party games. And then they also showed the price, and they did a really good job on communicating that right after Xbox. So I think it was a good response to Xbox's Series S and X.
I think from my perspective, I found it fine. I think it was good. I agree that it was good that they were able to respond to Microsoft so quickly.
It was critical that they showed gameplay, though, for SpiderMan. Absolutely critical that they showed that right off the bat.
Agreed. I think that's
one of the most anticipated ones.
That really drew us in, and it was awesome to really get our first real glance of a PlayStation first-party gameplay on a PS5. But that all being said, I thought the whole presentation was dragged out a little bit. If you made all of the trailers half as long, it would have been so much more impactful. Rather than giving me the whole cake right now or half of the cake right now, just give me a tiny sliver. Give me a 30-minute tight show that leaves me salivating for more.
Yeah.
If it was half as long, I think I would have been more excited. We still did not see the user interface of the PS5. We still don't know much about backwards compatibility, remote play. So there's still a lot that...
I think backwards compatibility won't really be talked about until I'd say right around the console when it comes out, or even after, because they announced, hey, PS4, PS5 games. That's it. And I think they're really hesitant on talking about it further because that would create more headlines and more eyes onto that topic, which they really probably don't want to they don't want to talk about because Microsoft has such a robust backwards compatibility plan and program. That's my speculation on that. But yeah, there's still we still need to see more from Sony.
And being that the show was as long as it was, I had the worst type of feeling at the end of it. That feeling was, why did I just spend an hour watching this whole thing for a price and a release date?
Yeah.
It was nice to see the announcements. It was nice to have this sort of showcase in the absence of an E3 back in June this year, but they still left a little to be desired.
My like, if I were to say like my favorite games, or the games I'm most excited for from this from the showcase, I would say number one, Spider-Man Miles Morales. The gameplay was enough for me to get me really excited about that one. The prospects of that game, I feel like you could do a lot with. Number two, I'd probably say Harry Potter. Harry Potter looked also, you could do a lot with that universe. And then number three, I'd still say Deathloop. Deathloop is still on my radar. I'm still really interested to see the raw gameplay. Those are the games I'm looking forward to most from Sony.
For sure. On my end, I would say if I had to pick a number one that I'm most excited for after this event, I would say maybe Hogwarts Legacy. I think that could be one of the biggest games this upcoming generation if it's supported well, if it comes out and it's really good. I think that has the most potential to be freaking awesome. Number two, probably Spider-Man Miles Morales, but I'm not putting much thought into it. I'm going to probably pick it up either way. The first Spider-Man on PS4 was freaking amazing, so picking it up unless it's just a complete disaster, which I don't think there's any way it's going to be a complete disaster. Even if it's just a completely reskinned version of the PS4 one with new missions, that's good with me. But as we did see from the gameplay reveal, it is definitely an upgrade from PS4 Spider-Man. Lastly, I would have to say probably Deathloop. I think Deathloop, as I had already said, has the most potential to be something that's freaking really cool. So I'm going to keep an eye out for all three of those games. Special shout out to Final Fantasy XVI. That's completely up in the air, but I enjoyed 15 and Final Fantasy VII Remake, so hopefully it's more good stuff.
So yeah, that concludes the cross-examination segment. If you guys have any questions or thoughts about the PS5 event, just let us know what like your most anticipated games are as well, or highlights from the show. In
fact, head over to our Patreon. I'll throw up a poll, and we will ask you there what your most anticipated game from the PS5 showcase was.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts, or hit us directly at psboxcast@gmail.com.
Woo woo.
It's just good to know that the console Cold Wars are finally over. We're now getting into the real console wars, even though they're not the same console wars. But we're the wait for price release date. It's over, and I'm just glad we're there.
Console wars, advanced warfare. All right, so let's move into Fast Fire.
Yeah, let's move on to Fast Fire news here. So Fast Fire news, it's just news coming at you real fast. We're not going to spend too much time on it. This week is actually pretty slow aside from the PS5 event, so we only have a few articles here or there. Number one, Halo Infinite Best Buy exclusive Steelbook plus statue is announced. Holy boys, let's go. So yeah, on Best Buy we see a listing for Halo Infinite. I believe the price is around like $115 or something like that. So it's not actually like a Microsoft license, like it's not a Microsoft approved collector's edition. It's literally like the game plus a steelbook, a Best Buy like whatever deal with steelbook they have, and they haven't shown the steelbook, and then a separate statue that Dark Horse made of Master Chief. And it looks pretty wicked. They don't know the dimensions on it, we don't know how big it is, But just the whole bundle altogether, the game standard edition, it says, Steelbook and statue is going to be like $115.
Have we seen pictures of the Steelbook and statue?
No. So the the statue, yes. You can see it on the website right now. You can't buy it yet. And the Steelbook is just a dark image. They don't have that yet.
Okay.
So what that looks like.
So we don't know anything.
So I don't know whether or not to buy this, because I want to buy like the collector's edition of the game. I don't want to buy this and then it's like, oh, they come out with the collector's edition. It's separate from that. So I really don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. What's the statue look like a little bit?
It's just like, it looks like Chiefs with his new armor. I think he's kind of like in this weird pose with the assault rifle. It looks pretty sick.
Classic green armor suit.
Classic green armor. Mjolnir. I don't know what model it is, but yeah. The newest, whatever, Mark 7 or Mark... Yeah. Whatever. But yeah, that was just a quick little tidbit about Halo Infinite for any of you Halo guys out there. We also have Cyberpunk 2077, a reminder from a dev that it will be available on next gen day one. So yeah, there is a next gen spec version coming out later on in 2021, but that doesn't discount the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 will be available to play on Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, PS5, PS4, Xbox One day one. So that's the original copy of the game will be available to play. Pat, what do you got to say about Rocket League?
So Rocket League, earlier this summer, it was announced that Rocket League is going to go free to play by the end of the summer. Wednesday, September 23rd is the official first full day of fall. So take that what you will. Rocket League will be adding cross-platform progress, and all items that you already have will now include a legacy label, which is kind of cool. I think the value on those items will inevitably go up over time. They also announced a support a creator program, which kind of cool, has implications for us. If we're making Rocket League videos or making this podcast, we can apply for this support a creator program. We will get some code. When people make a purchase with our code, 5% will go back to the creator, the owner of that code, which is, it's kind of cool and shows a little more support to the people who make content around Rocket League.
Mm. As many apprehensions I have about Epic, man, they really, I like how they kind of just, for the most part, they left Rocket League alone and they let them just kind of do their thing. Like, I'm still interested to go back to that game. You know, yeah. I feel like they haven't like Fortnited it in that sense of just like nickel and diming you here and there.
Yeah, so originally they did have the loot box structure, and we have now gotten this
Battle Pass, right?
Battle Pass sort of structure, and you can go in and buy items from a store a la carte, which those a la carte items change out every day or two. Overall, the price of items, though, it kind of stinks because they've gone up. So previously, you could have unlocked one of the loot box prizes for $1. I have since opened all my loot boxes and see the potential items. And for the highest level items, to be able to actually unlock it after finding out what's in this loot box, it cost me $22, $25 for some of the higher end ones, which discourages me. I have bought the Battle Pass 2 or 3 times now, but
so it's still pretty heavily monetized. Okay.
It's heavily monetized. I hope they make some changes to it, to the payment system and monetization system.
But this is good news. This is good news, though.
Exceptional news. I had purposely been holding off buying Rocket League for my Nintendo Switch since I knew this update was coming, and I'm super stoked that I'm going to be able to log into Rocket League on my Switch and continue my progress that I made on my PS4.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Lastly, in their Rocket League announcement, they announced that there is this Llama Rama event. We don't know much about it, but from the title image that they gave us, it looks to be a sort of Fortnite Rocket League crossover.
Oh, great. I spoke way too soon. I was like, they didn't Fortnite the game. At least they didn't Fortnite the game. Well, looks like they're going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Epic owns both of these games. Right. So to tie them in, it makes perfect sense. And maybe one day I'll be playing Rocket League on my Android phone right next to my Fortnite app.
Cool.
So we'll see.
And that is your Fast Fire News of the Week. Moving on to our rotating segment. This is a new segment we haven't done, but I just got a burning question. So this rotating segment is called Burning Questions. A question that's just burning inside you.
Sizzle.
And this is not only for my comrade here, Pat, but this is also for any of you that are listening out there. Please answer. Hit us up at our email. Please, if you have an answer to this question. So, Pat, my burning question this week. What is the worst game you have ever played?
Oh, so it brings to mind two things. The first worst game I have ever played, and maybe this just speaks to the classic youthful gamer with not much money to go around. I used to have to ride my bike to my local GameStop, and it took me about an hour to ride downhill to get there, and it was an hour uphill back, and I'd be dead and sweating when I got back, but at least I could buy a new game that way. And this one time, I went and purchased Call of Duty 3.
Call of Duty 3, okay.
Not bad inherently, but let me tell you, Call of Duty 3 for the Nintendo Wii is not a good game.
Oh man, you should have led with that.
So yeah, I rode my bike down, got Call of Duty 3, came back, and it was just this motion controlled debacle that was not fine-tuned by any extent of the imagination. And I probably played for 2 hours when I got home after that bike ride, and I don't think I ever played that game again.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad time.
Yeah.
Just early Wii adaptations of Call of Duty, like, that just sounds horrible.
Yeah, these bad ports to the Wii. It was an exceptional console, but it definitely had its weak points in terms of the games that were available.
It's funny you say Call of Duty 3. That was actually my first entry into the Xbox 360 universe. That was like my first game on Xbox 360 with the console when I bought it. So very different experience on the Wii, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think why I had bought it was because I had played Call of Duty 3 on the 360. The Wii was the only thing I had at home, so if I wanted to play Call of Duty, that's where I got to play it, but it was not worth it at all.
Cool. Yeah, what's up?
So the other game that came to mind, not the worst game I ever played, but special shout out, a game that I was never able to beat on the Game Boy Advanced was Drill Dozer. Are you familiar with this game?
No.
Another lesser known game, Motherload or Super Motherload, that came out. You're digging down. In Drill Dozer, you got this character that she is inside the Drill Dozer and digging down under the ground, beating enemies with this machine that has the drill on the front. Exceptional game all the way through until you get to the final boss, where he destroys the Drill Dozer, and you're playing with an entirely new mechanic of the girl without the Drill Dozer on the final boss. And I don't know how many times I attempted it, but I could never beat it. Because I was pissed off because I had to learn a whole new play style after playing this game for 10 hours plus.
Jeez.
So,
all right.
Those are some of the two worst games I've ever played.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a worst game I've ever played just because I have such good taste. But no, there is, in recent memory, I think, and I unfortunately have to say this as a Microsoft Xbox fanboy, Bleeding Edge. That game was trying to be, have you heard of that game?
No, I haven't.
It was trying to be like its own like Overwatch.
Okay.
But not with weapons. Just with melee and like some sort of like some characters had abilities and stuff.
But
like,
not like For Honor level melee, like Call of Duty punch with one.
Sort of, yeah. Each attack had like their own. I don't know. The game just wasn't balanced at all.
That's an issue.
I don't know if they've updated it yet, but the characters, like the concept was really cool. The characters themselves were really cool. The gameplay just fell super flat for me, and I was playing it just trying to 100% it because I already had like most of the achievements, and I was just having a horrible time. Yeah, I think they were just trying. And this is actually Ninja Theory, people who made Hellblade.
Yeah.
So this is like their first attempt at like something else, aside from like a narrative driven like third person adventure.
But even if it has been updated, they screwed themselves over if it's an online multiplayer game that's unbalanced, because if you aren't able to get those week one players to stick around, eventually the lobbies are going to be empty and it's unplayable anyways.
Yeah, that's my worst experience as of late. But yeah, that's our burning question of the week. If you guys got a burning question, let us know. psboxcast@gmail.com. That's it, right?
That's it. So we have been your hosts,
David SDDawg
and PlayStation Pat Fennel. Green vs. Blue can be found on Spotify, Apple Music, or your favorite podcast service. You can directly support the show by heading over to patreon.com/green versus blue. That's patreon.com, GREENVSBLUE. David, where can we find you?
Find me on YouTube, SDDawg, SDDawg, and at Twitch, Real SDDawg, SDDawg.
And you can find me on YouTube at Variety Pat. That's VA Riot Y Pat. Or on Instagram at PlayStation Pat. Once again, if you have any burning questions, like to be involved with the show, or give us some feedback on what you thought was the best PlayStation 5 showcase game, head over to Patreon, or you can hit us directly at our email at psboxcast@gmail.com. All right?
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
This is outro.